Hello, fellow YouTubers. Welcome to the first episode of Taylor Talks, and it's pretty much a retrospective of older games that I I didn't really get the chance to talk about or explore and whatnot through the Gaijin Gaming episodes. However, Gaijin Gaming doesn't work for this anymore because I'm not a Gaijin anymore, so flipping the script a little bit, changing the name, and also trying to write some things down so it's not, at least some of it, not all of it. But so for this first episode, I wanted to talk about Secret of Mana 2. So yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about that. Let's go. This is one of the few games I pined for as a kid. I mean, just gosh, I unfortunately I would not have fond memories of the game as a child because I could never find it. It just wasn't around. There was no. Not only was it not around, I just didn't really have the money to afford that sort of thing. And what I did have was the small little window of a beat-up copy of a Nintendo Power, and this issue went into a lot of detail about the game. Now, I mean, you could see all these different environments and everything, and what I would do, I'd close my eyes, imagining what would happen in the game just from looking at the Nintendo Power. I even went outside to replicate those imaginations, and what the forest taught me, I won't forget. Many things. One of them is hope. At that time, I didn't own a Super Nintendo, and I wouldn't until like 1998. So, from 5 years after the game's release, at least, before I even sniffed at that sort of thing. So, but the thing is that I thought no matter what, by steel and snare, or by soft whisper and a mantra or some sort of prayer, I would find a way to experience the game. As a wish, it was like a phantom in a rose, fleeting from my mind the older I became, but its poignant colors stayed rooted, unaged. It was over a decade after its release that I finally got to experience the legend, and my roommate and great friend set thumb to pad. We were dancing animals in the dead of night as we took on the game. After beating it, it spurred us on to take on Seiken Densetsu 3, but that is for another video. Secret of Mana is an action JRPG for the Super Nintendo, or as its box will kindly tell you, it is the motion battle RPG, and kind of ushering in a new era of the genre. The player takes control of one of 3 characters in a party. Initially, in the North American release, we knew these characters as the boy, the girl, and the sprite. They do have names, however, and were called Randy, Prim, and Papoy. Each character has positives and negatives. Randy can master weapons quicker, but has no magic skills whatsoever. Prim is decent at physical attacks and uses healing and supportive magic. Papoy, the sprite, is the worst, or at least considered the worst melee attacker, but has brutal offensive magic that really it's pretty stressed upon later on in the game. Now, this game, I believe, is a lot easier when you have other players. You can have 2 other players, so up to 3 total, to control the whole party, and makes things run a lot smoother. However, if you do have to end up soloing it, of course it's possible, and you can adjust the AI on this grid. You can adjust how they act, which is a really nice addition. But there are plenty of times where the AI gets stuck behind corners, or they're ganged up on by monsters when you're just trying to get through an area, which can lead to a lot of frustration. Thankfully though, if you just tap the select button, it allows for quick transitioning to other characters, and then once you're through it, you can just switch back to who you want to use and keep on going with the game. Now, the problem with a lot of JRPGs is that you have this rinse and repeat method of going from town A to town B, accruing a whole bunch of money, spending all that money to get new equipment, only to rinse and repeat that process for most of the damn game. Now, you do that in Secret of Mana, but the difference is that you can actually level up your magic through repeated use. And your weapons, you find power-ups for them through treasure chests or beating bosses. And once you find those power-ups, you actually take them to a smith. The smith enhances your weapons, and then by enhancing them, it makes them stronger and allows you, through repeated use, to be able to level up a charge. And while the charge isn't quite a necessity in the sense of how you can abuse the game, it is really nice that for each level of charge, you have a different attack, which they put a lot of animation effort into it. So I mean, you have a whole bunch of different weapons, a whole bunch of different charges, and a whole lot of different attacks. And it's one of those things where one of the little things counts a whole lot, and you can see where they took a lot of time to do that sort of thing. Also, some of the weapons have secondary functions. So for example, swords and axes can chop down certain things, and you can use whips to cross over certain gaps. Items, gear, and magic are organized by something called the ring system. So it's this ring where you click left or right to select something, which is a nifty way to display a menu. However, the big thing about items is you can only carry up to 4, which is what kind of adds, or at least supposed to add, difficulty to the game. Traversing the world is done one of 3 ways: on foot, by cannon, and on Flamey. The first 2 are fine, and cannons are great because, boom, they just get you where you need to go, other than the whole not sticking the landing part. However, as much as I love Flamey and having the option to toggle between mode 7 and overhead, not my ideal way of traveling. You're just better off having the world map beside you or something, so you know where you're kind of going, and just go from there. It doesn't help that things aren't labeled, so you gotta make some mental notes about it. It's not too hard to memorize where things are, but when you're trying to go to places for the first time, it can be a little bit of a pain. The areas of Fatiel are wonderful and diverse in color. The towns outside of Gold City and Matango are fairly ho-hum, but the colors, there's so many colors. Not only that, you will venture through shrines, mountains, forests, and plains to re-energize the Mana Sword, find and rescue Prim's love, Diluc, and restore Popoy's memories, while dealing with an empire seeking to revive the Mana Fortress and the ulterior motives of Thanatos, an ancient sorcerer. All this stuff going on is accompanied by a fantastic soundtrack by Hiroki Kikuta, from childlike enthusiasm of The Color of the Summer Sky and The Little Sprite, to heart pumpers such as Danger and Meridian Dance, to really memorable songs, at least to me, like The Dark Star and the gamelan style Ceremony. The whole soundtrack has something to offer with each new song. Now, a lot of people like the soundtrack, and many have done their own remixes and performances of music from the game and put it up on YouTube. One in particular is Caleb Elijah. His channel was the one that kind of got me into YouTube in the first place. If I didn't see it, I honestly would have never even signed up for YouTube in the first place. So something I didn't know until I was playing the game this time around was that there were a lot of production issues, mainly due to the game initially being set to release on the Super Nintendo CD attachment that Nintendo and Sony were working on at the time. Things fell through with that, and so they had to go from the CD base to back to the cartridge, and that chopped off about 40% of the game, what they intended to have for the story of the game, which was supposed to be darker in tone. that's a lot of the game. That's a lot of story that's just gone. And I kind of thought about that, and that makes the latter half of the game make a lot more sense, because you're going from the lofty mountains to a bunch of different places. And like, so for example, you go to lofty mountains and you're told to go to like the moon palace, so you go to the moon palace and then you come back to lofty mountains, and you're doing this back and forth quite a few times, and it's there's no depth to it. Like the first half of the game, you're going places and you're exploring areas and whatnot, but this is, you just kind of go there and you go to the monastery and everything, and then you go back. There's not a lot of stuff going on. Plus, a lot of the latter half bosses are recycled, and by that point in the game, it's really just a lot of spell abuse, abusing those spells and chaining them, and just totally rocking final bosses, or at least the latter half game bosses. But that's I don't know. There's something like that. It just makes me wonder what the game could have been like if it would have been released on that sort of thing. And it's definitely one of those what ifs, because I mean, a lot of people love this game. I love this game, but it, from what it had, there's 40% of the game missing, just gone. So yeah, and it doesn't help that they whipped through the translation in a month. So that's pretty quick. So it was like, I don't remember playing like what the English version had, but I'd imagine there was definitely some things lost. Hell, we lost the names. So after many years, the curse was finally lifted. I finally got to play the game, and my childhood imaginations and adventures kind of subsided and gave way to the actual experience of the game. As I said before, I still really like this game. I would wager that a lot of other people who have played the game still enjoy it. Or at least enjoyed it as a kid. I'd say if you haven't tried it, or if you played it but a long time ago, give it another go. The thing is that, of course, it might be kind of expensive to find it on a Super Nintendo due to eBay and all that stuff. However, it is available on the Wii Virtual Console, and even greater is that I doubt you can find it. I don't know how cheap multi-taps are for the Super Nintendo, but for the Wii, you just need a Wiimote and a classic controller, and you can play 3 players. And if you haven't ever tried that, I'd totally grab a couple friends and give the game a go. It's a strikingly great game, and I think if you haven't given it a go, give it a go. Or if it's been a while, give it another go. It's fun. It's great. It's fantastic. That said, if I really want to know, and I kind of want to talk more about it with you guys. So either comment below or message me on the Twitter lands. I'll have my Twitter handle somewhere. You can find it. And yeah, I'd like to talk more about it. So it's like I said before, it's one of those games that I didn't really talk about much for some reason, and thought now was a good time to start that up. So thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.